The city of Iskarestan was already doomed, but the people inside didn't know it yet. They looked at the sky and saw thousands of pigeons returning home. They thought it was a sign of peace, a gift from the woman they had just spent a year trying to kill. But as the birds landed on the thatched roofs of the houses, the city didn't just catch fire, it exploded. This wasn't an act of God. It was the final move in a four-part game of psychological warfare orchestrated by a woman the world now calls a saint. But in the year 945, Olga of Kiev was something much more dangerous. She was a widow with a plan. How did a single mother turn a peace offering into the most creative mass execution in history? And why did the church make her a saint after she buried her enemies alive? To understand the fire, we have to look at the blood. In the 10th century, the Kievan Rus was a brutal collection of tribes held together by one man, Prince Igor. But Igor was greedy. He went to the Drevlian tribe to collect tribute, then decided it wasn't enough and went back for more. The Drevlians had a simple response. They tied Igor to two bent birch trees and let them snap back. Igor was literally torn in half. Now the Drevlians had a problem. Igor's son was only 3 years old. His widow, Olga, was just a woman. The Drevlian prince, Mal, thought this was the perfect time for a hostile takeover. He sent 20 of his best negotiators to Kiev with a proposal: marry me and we'll rule both lands. This is the moment where most queens would have fled, but Olga did something that should have been a red flag. She smiled. Olga told the negotiators, "Your proposal is pleasing. Tomorrow I will honor you. Stay in your boat and let my men carry you into the city like kings." The negotiators were thrilled. They felt powerful. The next morning, Olga's men carried the boat into the city square, but as they reached the center, the men stopped. Olga had spent the entire night having her people dig a massive trench. She looked down at the men in the boat and asked, "Is this honor to your liking?" Before they could answer, her soldiers tipped the boat into the pit and buried all 20 men alive. But Olga wasn't done. She sent a message back to Prince Mal. "If you want me, send your most distinguished men so I can come to you with honor." Mal, thinking the first 20 were just delayed, sent his highest-ranking governors and lords. When they arrived, Olga offered them a bath to wash away the dust of the journey. Once they were all inside the bathhouse, she locked the doors and burned the building to the ground. At this point, Olga had wiped out the Drevlian leadership, and they still didn't know she was the one doing it. She was playing a game of information warfare that wouldn't be seen again for 1,000 years. But her final 2 acts of revenge wouldn't just kill the leaders, they would erase the entire Drevlian culture from the map. And it all started with a funeral. Olga arrived at the Drevlian capital with a small guard, claiming she wanted to hold a funeral feast for her husband. The Drevlians, now leaderless and confused, agreed. She got them drunk on mead, and once they passed out, her hidden army slaughtered 5,000 of them in their sleep. Finally, she laid siege to their last stronghold, Iskarestan. For a year, the city held out. Then, Olga made a merciful offer. "I don't want gold or fur. Just give me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from every house, and I will leave you in peace." The people laughed. They thought she was crazy. They handed over the birds. That night, Olga's soldiers tied small pieces of sulfur and cloth to the birds' legs. They lit the cloth and released the birds. A bird's instinct is to return to its nest. Thousands of tiny firebombs landed on the thatched roofs of every single house simultaneously. The city didn't just burn, it was deleted. Those who fled the fire were captured, enslaved, or executed. Olga returned to Kiev as the undisputed ruler. She spent the rest of her life reforming the government and eventually became the first ruler of the Rus to convert to Christianity. In 1547, the Orthodox Church canonized her as a saint, the equal to the apostles. It's one of the strangest ironies in history. A woman who buried men alive and used birds as biological weapons is now a symbol of divine grace. But Olga's story teaches us one thing: never mistake a widow's silence for weakness. If you think Olga was brutal, you haven't seen what the pirate queen of China did to the men who tried to control her. She commanded 80,000 pirates and forced an entire empire to surrender. Click here to see how a former prostitute became the most powerful pirate in history.